Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you're anything like me, you probably love breaking down these massive, complex human experiences into things we can actually understand. And today, well, we're tackling a big one, matters of the heart. Now, as we get older and rack up a bit more relationship experience, the lines between our feelings can definitely get kind of blurry. But eventually, figuring out the difference between a fleeting, temporary crush and deep, lasting love becomes absolutely crucial. So today, we're going to map out exactly how that evolution happens. So let's just cut right to the chase. I want to ask you right up front, are you crushing or are you actually falling in love? It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We throw these words around all the time, but getting down to what they actually mean, physically, emotionally, psychologically, it literally changes everything about how we handled our relationships. Let's start by looking at how these two very different states actually show up in our bodies. Okay, so when you've got a crush on someone, it is loud. It's this sudden, massive adrenaline rush that just pounds in your chest and sends your mind totally racing. But love is a whole different ballgame. Love gives you this quieter, incredibly subtle inner peace that kind of just sneaks up on you. It doesn't scream at you, instead it grounds you in a really calm, steady rhythm. All right, let's dive into our first major difference, fast sparks versus slow growth. A crush hits you fast, like really fast. When it first happens, it's immediate, it's flirty, and it is undeniably exciting. Love, though, takes its time. It grows. It doesn't just magically appear fully formed out of nowhere. It actively demands your patience, real mutual understanding, and honestly, a lot of deliberate hard work to build something that actually endures. There's this concept that a crush is a lot like dancing with a flame. It's warm, it's mesmerizing, and it's full of this reckless, temporary beauty. But just like a flame, if it doesn't have fuel to sustain it, it just can't last forever. It burns super bright, and then it burns right out. Moving right along to point number 2, basics versus deep connections. Let's do a quick narrative reset here. Quick question for you. Have you ever liked someone purely because they shared your exact niche interests? Maybe you both have the same obscure favorite color, or maybe you bonded because you could quote an entire movie together, line by line, from beginning to end. It feels like total magic in the moment, right? Now, what's really interesting is that a crush feeds off exactly those things. It forms from basic info, shared hobbies, and superficial small talk. It's built entirely on picture-perfect Kodak moments. Love, however, pushes way past all of that. It asks us to be deeply vulnerable, to share our most closely guarded secrets, to actually confront the past, and to mend our broken pieces together. Because the truth is, love isn't afraid to dive in the deep. It moves completely out of the shallow end of those basic shared interests. It requires a real willingness to swim in the heavier, deeper, and let's face it, sometimes darker emotional waters, knowing that the other person is right there swimming beside you. That brings us to number 3. Insecurity versus inner peace. You know that anxious feeling? A crush will often leave you feeling wildly insecure. You're constantly comparing yourself to others, allowing all your deep fears to just stick around and fester. Love actively teaches us to let go of those fears. Since it's built on a rock-solid foundation of trust, it leaves you feeling entirely at ease, not possessive, and definitely not jealous. All right, difference number 4, fresh thrills versus familiarity. A crush always feels super fresh and young, but honestly, it keeps you hovering nervously right there on the welcome mat. You're constantly on your absolute best behavior. Love, on the other hand, brings you completely inside. It's like being with your absolute best friend who knows you inside and out. You don't have to hover at the door anymore because you actually belong inside. As true love forms, it's like making you enter rooms that feel familiar. It takes this terrifying, nerve-wracking new space and totally transforms it into a comforting, warm sanctuary. And that right there is the true evolution from a crush into lasting love. Let's move to our final and honestly most crucial distinction. Number 5, recklessness versus mature love. All right, be honest with yourself here. Have you ever looked back at an old crush and just literally scratched your head? Like, you look back years later and think, what in the world was I thinking? It's totally fine. We've all been there. And it happens because our past crushes are often incredibly confusing and inconsistent when we look at them with the benefit of hindsight. Because the thing is, crushes are confusing. They're reckless, and they are notoriously inconsistent.
We discard them pretty easily as we move through life. But when love begins, so does true maturity. It's grounded, it's unshakable, and above all else, it is life-changing.
And this maturation, it doesn't just happen overnight. It is a very specific process. First, you have to learn how to be truly vulnerable with another person. Second, you learn the really hard but absolutely necessary art of compromise. And third, you learn how to actually grow with someone side by side. These 3 steps are exactly what turn love from a mere fleeting feeling into a profound, life-altering experience. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the exact same question we started with. Take a hard look at the relationships in your life right now. Are you crushing or are you actually fallen in love? Take the insights we've gone through today, apply them to your own life, and see what answers you find. Thanks so much for joining me. Keep reflecting on this, and I'll see you in the next explainer.